Try to guess how long it's been since the last Tower Heroes balance change. 8 months. But yesterday in the Hideaway Hive update, we finally got changes to the meta. These being some of the honestly best things ever. Summoners are broken now thanks to the new hero Buzzer. So the first one we're going to be starting off with Bunny. So all that happened to Bunny is level 1 is Unchanged, but level 2 and on is it's got a faster rate. Here's the interesting part. Watch. See? Since we have the ability of Bunny, it used to do almost nothing. So as you can see, apparently they changed it so yes, well, one, Bunny is faster. They also made it so together they have overall bigger DPS. See? So much faster, so much better. The original Bunny, its rate was a little bit slow, I guess. But as you can see, Bunny is just a lot better. So we're going to just get Bunny to the limit of 8. So yeah, here you go. Well, I still think... Okay, we're just gonna put one over here, just so I can see what the damage is. See, 61 alone, 66 with other bunnies, though. So if you and your teammates bring Bunny, I think Bunny might actually be way too overpowered. So example, let's just imagine that, hi, I'm Doc Adams' teammate, I'm placing some bunnies as well. So we currently got 72 damage. So if your teammate also brings Bunny, it's about 72 damage per every second or so, which is really good, actually. I have King Slime, so let's just see how well Bunny does without support. Keep in mind that damage and the rate will get a lot better with Spectre. Bunny is still pretty good for boss attacking, hence why I've been using it for all my runs of the new map. But our next little guy is Fracture. Fracture has always been one of those towers that everyone makes fun of because of how awful he is. All they really changed about him is his range. Now, Fracture's main flaws have always been his footprint and his range being a lot less. But he is still a really good range tower when you think about it. 60 damage and I think 4 shots. He still has good damage, and with Spectre that's about 120 per shot. His cooldown's a bit slow, not gonna lie. And his main flaw has only kind of been like his range and such, and the footprint. But since all they really changed is his range, well, I guess he's a tiny bit better. But personally, I will still probably never use Fracture, seeing as there's still a ton of better range towers to use. He's good, not gonna lie, but he's not very good for like harder maps. He's pretty cheap, but overall as a tower, nobody likes Fracture. All they really did to Crow is change his rate of spawning crows. Attacking rate, I believe, turning into around every 7 seconds. I guess the one thing they really did to make Haze better, making the crow stronger. At base, that's pretty good, but with Meitaki, I'd imagine this would be pretty great of a buff for him overall. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. Now we've got one of the better summoners being Kart Kid. All I think they changed about him is the health per each level. So level 3 got 350, level 4's got 500, and level 5 has 600, which I think's pretty good. His health was kind of bad, but his invincibility was pretty good. Although his invincibility feature is a bit underutilized, so 600 base HP, I think that's pretty good for Kart Kid. Watch. Yeah. Kart Kid's invincibility is essentially the same as it's been, with the only real change being his HP going up a bit. Still kind of eh. Discount Dog. They've made no actual changes to him other than the best thing ever. This has been a temporary fix, just for a while. But summoners weren't affected by his ability. So you can have multiple Jesters, you can have like more than the max amount of Stellas, gonna have more Haze and more Buzzers now. But with the ability, boom, you can have like 2 Kart Kids now, so just imagine we're in an actual game. Is this good? Yes, really. It's also really broken. Now have more buzzers, more haze, which is crazy because they didn't like increase the price of this whatsoever. This is really good if you're on like a hard map like Bleak Barrens. You get a ton of mana, which means that you can, guess what? So you can get even more. While the summoners are good for early game on Bleak, this just makes them better for late game as well. So now you're gonna have your odd ports attacking, more Stellas, more Beatrice, you know, stuff like that, which I think is crazy good. So we are at the next buffs, starting with Keith. Keith has always sucked. He was pretty good upon release, mainly due to like a glitch, but with this, oh my god. So basically what's important now is his main problem was that his boomerang lost damage per enemy that was hit. Now, Keith, 60 damage is pretty good, but you know what makes it even better? The return damage. His rate is still kind of bad, not gonna lie, and so is his range, so he's not very good for like being a range tower. How does 120 per hit? It makes him a lot better. So I say boom, 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 boom. I assume he's a lot better with supports, but in a like Keith standalone, still kind of eh. But he is a lot better. So as I mentioned, Discount Dog now affects summoners. Not Nuki though, simply because of how much lag it would cause. Boom. Pretty decent damage, doing about 500 to the Slime King so far. Wow, 1,000 actually. For him to throw one of them. The splash damage does do pretty good chunk to him, I guess. So if you want to use Nuki, yeah, I'd recommend it. But for a tower with a lot of big range and pretty good damage, I'd still recommend using Haze. With Mitaki, of course.
Hi, so being the idiot I am, I forgot to mention the actual change being the damage to Nuki. Essentially what they did is they just increased the damage overall, not the splash damage, but it now does quite a bit more damage and is a little bit usable.
What they did to Slime King was 1 and 2 aren't affected whatsoever, but the rest... So level 1 and 2 aren't affected. Level 3 is essentially the same because they went from 8 seconds and 1 damage to 4 seconds and 2 damage. It's a bit shorter of an effect. This is the burn effect, by the way. Level 4 is where Slime King starts to get really good though. A burn for level 4 used to last 8 seconds and do 1 damage, and now it lasts 8 seconds and does 4 damage per second. But what's really important is level 5. Oh my god, it's so much better. Incinerate effect used to last only 8 seconds and do 1 damage, but now it lasts 16 seconds and does 8 damage, which is really good. The effect lasts for 18 seconds. So they might be able to kill Slime King, this little King Slime, pretty fast. And of course, since Discount Dog does affect Slime King, that makes him a lot better. Next we have a really good tower who I think became really good this update, being Vulca, with a pretty small but good change being its rate. So Vulca still has that splash damage, I think the limit's 5. Yeah, it's 5. It's still pretty bad for DPS, I guess, not having a very fast rate, but for like a long range thing for maps like this-ish with like slower bosses, I think Vulca is really good. Are probably one of the only reasons I was able to beat the new map, Duo, because we were trying some of the dumbest strategies ever. There was like, oh, we should just use Vulca, Bunny, maybe Keith. We only used Vulca and Bunny, and we won.
I did an awful job explaining it, but all they did to Stella was make the repaint cost 30% cheaper, and the damage for all but gem 10% less. So Stella is still good, but repaint is cheaper though, and it just does a bit less damage. So not too much of a nerf, but eh.
Okay, I think that's a typo they made in Pixelbit. But apparently it's supposed to cost 1,500 to upgrade her, which is insane. But as you can see, 1,200 to upgrade, 2,500 for the next level, 4,500 for level 4, and 8,000 for the last level. Now, you might have not noticed it as well, but on the last 2 levels only, yeah, they changed the damage, going from 12 to 11 and 14 to 12. So, I guess you could say Scientist is a bit worse now. So they actually nerfed Wafer a lot, making his level 1 cost 120, which is cheaper, but not very good. Damage is 1 through 3 as always, and his rate is a bit faster on level 1, which is great. After you notice it gets quite a bit worse. Originally it was 12 to 22 damage, and now it's 10 to 20. 28 to 36, and now it's 22 to 32. 40 to 55 to 35 to 45. And probably what makes Wafer quite a bit bad now, being 48 to 70 is now 42 to 62. I never saw anyone ever use him, partially because he's an event tower, but also because, well, Wafer kind of just sucked. So I don't get why they try to say that actually Wafer was the second best range tower. No, he wasn't. You say he was, but he wasn't. And the last of the ones I want to test, being a kind of weird one, I guess. Apparently they did it. So what they did was I don't know if they nerfed or buffed Bibo with this, but they made it so him and the other ones aren't in sync anymore. It looks bad on a visual level, maybe just because I'm used to the old one.
But this doesn't change anything about him. It just has the same amount of damage done, it just spread out.
Well, that is all the nerfs and buffs for the Tower Heroes Hideaway Hive update. Thank you for watching this long. It's been a pretty long recording session, and I think the video is going to be somewhat long as well. Come back sometime this week for a video about how summoners are probably some of the most overpowered things in the game right now. All thanks to my goat Buzzer. I wish I could have talked about it in the video I did on him yesterday, but, well, I'm sorry.
81. 5.